Hello, my name is Beth and I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator at Healthwatch Gateshead, and today I'm speaking with the Josephine and Jack Project.
And hello, I'm Simon for the Josephine and Jack Project.
Hello there, I'm Viv and this is Josephine from the Josephine and Jack Project.
Hi, I'm Tom and this is Jack from the Josephine and Jack Project.
So today we're kind of here to learn some more about the project. So Simon, do you want to describe what it is you actually do?
Right. Well, in a minute, I'll let Viv and Tom tell you a little bit more. But as you can see, Josephine and Jack are two life-size, anatomically accurate cloth figures. We don't tend to think of them as dolls or puppets, but we don't get too cross if people talk about them. We like that. I mean, we tend to use Josephine and Jack in workshops and obviously at the moment during lockdown in Zooms to talk with adults and young people with learning disabilities about all sorts of things, but it tends to be about health, well-being, relationships, sex, dating, all those really difficult issues that we all sort of take for granted that we have the ability to talk about, but often people with learning disabilities have exactly the same feelings, but have a bit more difficulty sort of trying to understand or feel that they should know the answers to those questions already. Mm-hmm. So in a typical Josephine and Jack session, we'll have a particular question and Josephine or Jack will help all of us answer it. So for example, Jack might want to ask somebody out on a date, and we'll talk with Jack about how you know somebody fancies you. We might have a conversation about what's the difference between a friend and a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and then we might have a conversation about where you might go on a date or the sort of things you might talk about. And we find that using Josephine and Jack means that nobody gets embarrassed about it, because it's not a question that the individuals have got, it's a question that Jack or Josephine have got, and that just helps people to have a little bit of distance and to stop themselves being embarrassed or feeling awkward about it. So maybe, I mean, Viv, do you want to just say a little bit about say a little bit more about Josephine and explain about her?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Simon said, they're anatomically correct. So Josephine has all of the parts that a lady would have, but made out of material. And what that does, that allows us to make sure that Josephine, like everybody else, should go for all of her health checks, so she can actually take part in having a smear test, for example, or a mammogram as well. She actually has a breast that is detachable, and it has a lump in her breast. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a way of showing that Josephine has to get that checked out, and then maybe she can find out that that's absolutely fine and that's just part of life. So yes, they do a lot of work like that. And as Simon has said, we talk about a lot of the emotional intelligence issues that are quite hard to get to the bottom of. But overall, they really want to help people who have confusions and questions, and actually getting a lovely group of people together and creating such a supportive space to talk about such issues means that ultimately people end up helping themselves via Josephine, and that's so powerful.
Yeah. And Tom.
Yeah, this is Jack and Tom here again. We're in Newcastle at the moment. As you can see, Jack is sporting a very handsome beard. And he is also anatomically correct, so he has everything a man has, which helps when you're doing work with people, because we do a lot of work in one of the sessions around personal hygiene, and it's very difficult to do that particular type of thing without showing somebody. We talk about consent before we do that, and it's done within a shower scene. So we can kind of then show people how to do more intimate cleaning and things that they need to do. Jack's also got a little lump in one of his testicles, but again, there's nothing wrong with him. And the way we use that in the course is we can go through the whole process of finding the lump. Who would you tell? Have you got somebody you could tell? Going for the doctor, getting the results, everything's fine. That's like, you know, the week later we come back and everyone's really, you know, interested to make sure Jack's okay, which he is. And as I say, Jack moved in with me at the beginning of lockdown. So he's living here in Newcastle with me and my cat Hamish. And we've got to know each other pretty well. It's a small flat, so I'm actually getting on Jack's nerves a little bit. He's been telling people that, haven't you? So it's been really quite fun though, and quite creative. We started doing videos at the beginning of lockdown, and we've got better at them. I think we can blow our own trumpets at that. If you look back to the beginning and then towards the later ones, they're really very good. Jack and I have done several things, a lot, but we did some work with the Northumbria Police, where we had a chat about hate crime because Jack had been picked upon on the bus. So that was interesting, wasn't it, Jack? Yeah. And we also did one with the fire service around bedroom safety, keeping your laptop safe if you have it on your bed and making sure you know, all that kind of thing. So it was really informative and fun. But Jack, what was your favourite one? All right. Jack says his favourite video that we've made together was he had a date night with his boyfriend, and we did it on a video call. He really enjoyed that. I helped him. I had to go, of course. I had to go for a walk and let them get on with it. But he ordered a takeaway, and we listened to music, and we did all sorts of great stuff together. So we're doing okay, me and Jack here in Newcastle.
You're putting up with each other.
Yeah.
So that moves on to the next question. So it's how you had to adapt during lockdown with the work that you have done.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Tom said, we suddenly started making these films. I mean, Josephine and Jack work, we would always have thought was really face to face. I mean, it sort of relies on these lovely cloth figures, and people really have to meet them to sort of see what they're like, or so we thought. And we'd always wanted to do videos, but you know, the time was never right, and there always seemed to be more reasons not to do them, to actually sit down and film them. But of course, lockdown just forced us to rethink everything. So, God, it's amazing to think it was last March. But I basically just said to all of the members of the team, I'm going to drive around the city. I'm going to drop off Josephine and Jack's at all your houses so that you're going to have some flatmates. And for the first one, I just said to everybody, you know, just film something on your phone which talks about how Jack or Josephine are doing in lockdown. And everybody thought that went really well. And we put those up on social media, and they worked really much better than we thought. We had really good positive feedback. So then we started being a bit more systematic about it and thinking about, okay, let's think of a set of series of sessions which are about Jack or Josephine, what they're doing in lockdown, how they're dealing with some of the questions that people, and particularly people with learning disabilities, might have about what they can or can't do, or how to do some of the things that they've been doing in the past. And so we did a series called High and Low with Jack and Joe, which was a series of 10 films all about dealing with your mental health, really. So what do you do when you feel lonely? How can you entertain yourself? We had a music making session. We had all sorts of things in that. And then we've done various films about most of the issues that come up. So you know, why should I wear a mask? One of the issues for people with learning disabilities. I mean, you'll notice that Jack's wearing his lanyard, so Jack doesn't necessarily have to wear a mask, but a lot of our people that we work with do. And obviously some people with learning disabilities find it a lot more difficult to pick up cues and what people are saying if they can't see half their face. So we did a few sessions on that, about staying safe, as Tom said, you know, about, you know, dating and things like that. And it's amazing, just before Christmas, as we did a Christmas series as well, which was great fun, sort of Josephine and Jack doing a Christmas Zoom screen behind themselves and all sorts of stuff. By the end of the year, we discovered we've done 60 of these 60 films. Yeah, all of them sort of 5-10 minutes. Some of my team talk more than others, so some of them are a bit longer. Some of them are a bit strong. Some of them are a bit more strong and silent, so they're shorter. Those would be mine, of course. And that's what we're going to be doing. Viv, do you want to say a little bit more about a couple of the ones that your Josephine was involved in?
Yes, absolutely. As Tom said, they really developed from things to do during lockdown, like arts and crafts. And Simon touched on the high and low with Jack and Joe series. And I particularly love doing a gratitude tree, because all of our colleagues and all of our Josephine and Jacks were able to reflect on what they were really grateful for. And that was sort of during the summer last year. So there was a lot of gardening, a lot of fresh air, a lot of walks. But it was really powerful and lovely to bring the whole team together. But I think one of the ones that really sticks out for me is that I was able to work with Northumbria Police, with the engagement team, and a lovely lady called Adelina. And that was around domestic abuse. So if anybody was actually suffering or knew of somebody suffering domestic abuse, could we signpost the steps to take and really make sure that they knew exactly what to do in those circumstances? And that just felt like a really powerful message to send out to the learning disabled and the wider community. You know, these are not just for the learning disabled community, because that advice can be used by any member of society.
And do you want to say a bit more about the date night session that you did? And I know you did a fire safety one as well.
Yeah, the date night one, that was Jack's favourite one. It was really to keep people connected and make sure that people were making an effort, because it can be working on a computer, doing Zoom calls can be really kind of difficult for me, and it can be difficult for a lot of the people we work for. So encouraging that along and making it fun as we did it. So we often have a bit of a laugh, me and Jack, you know, and it kind of just created the feeling as well of how we were doing the videos at the time. And it became more natural doing it that way, because Jack, as you'll notice, doesn't actually talk, but he can talk to me and he can talk to you, but you'd have to come and listen to him and he would whisper in your ear. So getting those kind of concepts across, and the fact that he has quite a lot of problems or issues, and he'll share them with people when he gets to know them, and that all works out. And that includes the fun stuff, like seeing his boyfriend, having an Indian takeaway and listening to music and sharing that with people too.
Right. Okay. So so that's broadly, thanks Tom. So that's broadly what we've been up to.
Yeah, that's great. You've been busy.
yeah, we have. And as I say, we're continuing to be busy. We're just over the last few weeks before Christmas and after, we began to start doing some live Zooms with groups of people with learning disabilities, sort of one-offs with groups of up to about 8 people, because we found it's been brilliant that people with learning disabilities and their carers and their supporters have actually been really good about embracing things like Zoom. We thought there would be a lot of issues about sort of, for want of a better word, digital exclusion and people not being able to get to stuff. But actually, people are determined to get on this stuff called Zoom. And so we've done a couple of one-off hour-long live Zoom sessions with people introducing Josephine and Jack or talking about particular subjects. We've started doing a few one-to-ones for clients like Gateshead Social Services, where we're using Jack or Josephine to talk about a particular issue of concern with them. And so starting in February, we're going to sort out the dates fairly shortly. We're going to do a series of 2 courses, a 6-week, hour-a-week Jack course and a 6-week, hour-a-week Josephine course on Zoom, and do it live at the same time each week. Because we think Josephine and Jack have got a lot to say and a lot that can help people in the current circumstances. And frankly, because we think, you know, for the foreseeable future, most of our work will be online, and why not go back to doing what we all feel we do best, which is interacting live with Josephine and Jack. So there'll be some more details of those courses soon. And in the meantime, we'll carry on making these little films. Try to get to 100 by the end of the year, maybe.
Good luck with that. But it's a great what you're doing, and I hope it continues to be as busy as it is. Yeah, and thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Thank you. It's been lovely to meet you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.